right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the presentation on Refugee Force. Welcome to your Dreamin' as well. It's been a good event so far, so thanks to the organizers. So I'm going to speak about 10 to 15 minutes on Refugee Force, and then I'll take some questions. So who are we? So I'm the founder of Refugee Force. My name is Gaspar Rodriguez. I've been working in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 8 years now. I started as a user in an NGO in Washington, D.C. I quickly got the Salesforce bug, and I was like, what else can this thing do? And I became a consultant. And then I did my research on Salesforce, on user adoption, which is one of my topics that really interests me. And then I moved to the Netherlands, became a consultant again, and now I'm still consulting for a company called Absolutely. And Refugee Force is our kind of fly-by-night operation right now. So it's completely, we all have full-time jobs, so it's completely something we do in the evenings and in the afternoons, in the weekends. And yeah, we have founded it together with a colleague, Nick, who is Dutch. He used to work at Salesforce. He's an HR professional, recruiter in sales. And then Marielle, who is a Salesforce user at a Salesforce partner called Women Win. So all three of us combined are kind of have founded Refugee Force together last year. We have an advisory board because we are stichting, so we're a foundation. So Ivar Janssen, who some of you might know, he works at Salesforce.org. He's the AVP for EMEA. He's been a very big champion of the organization early on, and he's helping us from advisory standpoints. And then Julian, who is a longtime friend of mine, kind of a serial entrepreneur guy. He's really helping us with launching the initiative and making sure that we're meeting our impact goals. So, why did we start Refugee Force? We started Refugee Force because we believe in building bridges. So we believe that there is a lot of difficulty in the Netherlands to find work as a status holder, as a refugee. These statistics come out a lot. I think every 3 or 4 years they do a study on all of the people who have achieved refugee status or asylum status here in the Netherlands. And the numbers are not that positive, right? So I think the Netherlands does a very, very good job of accepting a lot of refugees per capita. It's a small country. They do accept a lot from many countries. They do a really good job on the social integration piece, and the inburgering. So they do a lot of work on getting you to learn the language, to learn how things work here, to get integrated into society, to find housing. But I think what they're realizing now is that they have a big problem when it comes to employment integration. And so they're really not getting people the right jobs that fit them. And then a lot of people are settling for either low-income work that is outside of what they're normally used to in their home country, or low-skilled work. And so I think I saw a statistic about the people who do get employed, status holders, after 4 years, 89% are on temporary contracts, and around 90% are working at a job that is below what the level that they had at home. So it's a big problem right now. Here's some statistics. About 11% of 18 to 65-year-old status holders are employed after 2.5 years after receiving their asylum status. So that means they've been here for at least 5.5 years. And there's still a lot of people who are dependent on the social benefits that come with being a status holder. So I think the Netherlands is really taking a big look at this and saying, okay, how do we get more labor participation in the right way to drive more employment in the Netherlands? So on the other side, this is more of the world that I am used to, and why Nick and Marielle and I work in is we see a big growth in technology here in the Netherlands. We know that Salesforce is growing. We know that Salesforce is investing a lot in the Netherlands, in the Benelux as well. We know that there are a lot of vacancies in IT and ICT in general here, and we know that a lot of medium and large customers are moving to Salesforce. So it's still new in a lot of ways, but we know that there's a huge lack of admins and developers, and you all know this. So how do we connect these worlds? How do we connect a world where we have highly skilled people who are not getting the opportunity to participate in an economy that needs participation? So this is our mission. We develop the skills and careers of refugees or status holders in the Netherlands to meet the growing demand in the tech ecosystem, Salesforce ecosystem here in the Netherlands. It's our sole mission. It's all we do. It's all we can have time to do. So we're very mission focused on that. How do we do that? 3 ways. So first, we have a very intensive program for a Salesforce admin credential. So it's basically, it starts on the first day of what is Salesforce, why are you here, all the way to this is how Apex works, and this is how Process Builder works, and this is how Workflow works. So it's a very intensive kind of spanning everything that you just covered on the Salesforce admin exam. And it's a very tricky exam, I think. It's probably one of the trickiest, especially for a non-native English speaker, I would say. And I hear that a lot, not just from our status holder participants, but also from professionals who don't have English as a first language. So I give them a lot of training on answering the questions and knowing what they're really asking, test-taking strategies, all that. So we cover all of that for about 8 weeks. And then we do what's called professional performance. So we look at, okay, what are your motivations? What are your ambitions? What are you interested in? What are the skills that you have? What are your formal credentials? And try to align that with recruitment strategies and try to align that with hiring managers to say, this is something that you should put on your LinkedIn or on your CV, and we work on those kinds of things. And then we do what we're doing right now, is connecting them to Salesforce. So Johanna and the Salesforce community is an amazing community. For me, it's been, like I said, I found out about it 8 years ago, and I've been involved in it in various ways since then. And I think it's really about people who have a drive to improve themselves, to do something that maybe they don't feel they're capable of, but then they have the resources and the support to do that. So I really believe in that, and I think without that connection, the skills and the credentials, they wouldn't matter that much, I think. And we get a lot of, when we first do our interviews with participants, the biggest thing that they say, or one of the things that really comes out is, yeah, well, I have all the right things on paper, but I just don't have the connections. No one will put me forward. I can't get my foot in the door. And we really need, as a Salesforce community, we can work to change that, I think. Because we know the partners, we know the customers, we know where the needs are. So connecting to that community, I think, is a very important part of the program. So it's a little bit about the format. So like I said, it's 16 sessions, learning the hard skills and knowledge, and then certification prep. So really focus on the exam itself. There's a lot of debate, of course, about certifications, how important they are. I didn't get my admin until 6 years after I've been working in Salesforce because somebody told me I needed it here in the Netherlands. So I think here, particularly for this culture, it's a very credential-based culture. It's an achievement culture. It's a, does it look good on paper? Are you certified culture? So it's very important to get your foot in the door, and it basically opens, we believe that it kind of opens the doors into wherever else you want to take it. But it's basically a required step, I would say, at this point. And then after they do the exam, then they can move into the professional performance part, where it's all about entering the job market and developing, working with mentors, recruiters, and kind of developing their soft skills. A little bit more about the course. So it's basically just to get the admin credential. I think I put this slide in here because one of the biggest factors here, or in Europe as well, is recognition of credentials. So if you have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree from Syria, from Palestine, from Russia, or wherever, and you come as a status holder, it's not immediately recognized by the Netherlands. So they'll say, okay, well, it's great that you went to Damascus University, but we don't recognize that because it's not an accredited institution. And so they say you have 2 options. Either you can continue your path without having a bachelor's degree, or you can recertify. So it's going to take 2 years. You have to do this and that. So when faced with that option, I think it's unrealistic that people would recertify because it takes too much time and it's too expensive. So it's kind of prohibitive. So getting that credential recognition is difficult here. And most people will not recertify. And that's why they end up having low income work or low skilled work, and they say, I'll take whatever I can get, which is totally reasonable. So structural problem, I think. And I think one of the good things about Salesforce certifications is that it is globally recognized. It has global weight. If you talk to someone in the US or in Japan or France or Germany, they know what a Salesforce admin credential is. And I think that it's very important. And you can literally type in someone's name and it'll say this is a credential that they've earned. And that's why we teach the course on the credential, because we believe that it is kind of a stepping stone. So it's important to have it as a credential. So this is where we are now and where we're going. So to tell you a little bit about the history, like we said, we founded it last year, so we're still very new. We're still learning a lot. We're learning about the curriculum. We're learning about what it takes to learn Salesforce from an intensive course perspective. We're learning about what hiring managers are looking for. We're learning about how the mental model of a status holder compares in the technical space. We're learning a lot of cultural things about, about participants and their interaction in the Salesforce ecosystem. So we did our first pilot training just now, and we had 5 participants. We were really testing their curriculum. We were testing, okay, is this something that's attainable? Is it realistic to be able to learn Salesforce this fast? Are we finding the right people? Are we finding that we are motivating them enough to get involved in the community? All these kinds of questions we're learning from. We're creating a network, so it's very important for us to be connected to other organizations that work with status holders, because it's a big network, but it's a really difficult one to just create yourself. So we have to work through partnership organizations to help us recruit and help us talk to potential applicants, because we don't have the resources and the history and even the trust to build that ourselves. And then, basically getting funding and finding some founding partners to help us pay for our costs, basically. In August, we will do another training, a second training. So we'll take everything we've learned, do a training in August, double the size of participants, and then we'll do that again in the fall. And then in 2020, we're hoping to have about 100 participants every year. So we'll do 3 trainings per year with around 30 participants each training. So that's our goal for next year. But again, we're still small. And these are our first participants. So I actually have some of them here today. 4 out of the 5, actually, because Ayman got a job. He got a job at ABN AMRO doing data analytics. So he's a very technical guy, and he, it's not in Salesforce, but it's great. We're better that he's employed and happy than here. So we have Adina, we have Horde, and we have Philip and Mohammed, who are here today as our first group of pilot participants. Have gone through the program. Most of them didn't really know what Salesforce was. They're just now starting to capture it. Now they can talk to you about workflows, and they can talk to you about Process Builder, and they can talk to you about what is a junction object. They can talk to you about things that they never even heard of before. So it's very exciting. And then they are looking for opportunities. The whole goal of the program is for them to be happily hired. So reach out to them and see what motivates them, what they're interested in, and see if they might be a good fit for either something you're trying to do or something that you know of. 'Cause that's what it's all about for us. So how can you help them succeed? We are looking for mentors. So as part of the professional performance part, we have what's called a super admin panel, basically, where we have mentors come in and talk to them about what their journey was and how they learned Salesforce. So we're fortunate enough to have Jörn. Many of you probably know Jörn. He's the Salesforce golden hoodie guy, and he came and talked to them about his journey, which is very inspiring, of course. So become a mentor, volunteer. We're looking for trainers as well. So if you really, really know about sharing and you really, really know about sharing questions on the admin exam, please come and talk to me, because I would love for you to do a session on sharing. Because right now I'm doing all the training, but it's not realistic. So it only works for now. So we're looking for trainers. We're looking for sponsors as well. So if you are looking for a corporate sponsorship to say, we will interview or we will take on one of your participants after you have trained them and after they've received their credential, and you want to sponsor them along that path, then that'd be fantastic. So then you can basically put them into your recruitment cycle after they've received their credential and after they're ready. And then just recruiting. That's the main goal, right? We're not successful, they're not successful unless they've been recruited and they found a job in the Salesforce ecosystem. So that's the biggest one. Yeah. That's it for me. And I have time for questions, I think, right? Yeah. Yes?
Does the Netherlands have any incentives for employers to hire refugees or individuals off of social services? Is that something that you can leverage in placement, a tax incentive or something like that?
There's two, yeah, so first question, yes, there are incentives. There's lots of incentives. There's a website, SER, I forget what it stands for in Dutch, but they're basically an institute that does research on refugee migration. They have a lot of incentives for employers on their website. It's all in Dutch. I don't speak very well Dutch. And yeah, can we leverage them? We haven't looked into it yet, but I think probably we could. Yeah. But I don't know what the specific ones are, but I know that there are, definitely are. Yeah.
And how do you pre-select your participants?
So yeah, I mentioned we have to work through partnerships. So we work through Vluchtelingenwerk, UAF, Vluchtelingen ambassadors, basically refugee company here in Amsterdam. So there's a lot of companies that have been working with status holders for a while, and that network is broad, and it's very difficult to crack, I think. So we rely on them, and we say, hey, this is what we do. If you have any people that you come across that are interested in Salesforce or in technology, please send them to us. We'd love to speak with them. And so that's how we kind of get applicants. During the application process, we basically do a gut check a lot of the time. We say like, hey, let's talk to these people right away. Let's see what they're interested in. We don't ask for a CV. We don't really care. I don't care where they came from. I don't care what their LinkedIn says at this point. Like, I really want to know is like, are they motivated? Are they driven? Do they have what it takes to learn something completely new in a fast-paced way and put themselves out there for a job? And I can't teach that. So if they don't have that, it doesn't matter if you know Process Builder. I don't really care, you know. So it's really, at this point, it's not a perfect recipe, of course, but it's mostly kind of a gut check where we do the 2 or 3 interviews with them to kind of get that out, and then we put them into the cycle.
So also maybe looking towards, say, the unemployment side of the...
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know people and they've already, for example, enrolled them. They have a basic skills program.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about that, but they just help young people with baggage to get back into work. And through that we had also a small side effort for Salesforce. And we helped, for example, 2 refugees get their certificate that way.
Nice. Awesome. Good. Yeah, I'll look into that.
So maybe after we can...
Yeah. Cool. Questions? Yes, Guido.
Yeah. So Salesforce has a pro bono program that basically helps out .org customers who don't have all the resources to do everything themselves. And they often need help setting up their system or loading in data, all that kind of stuff. Have you looked into that and maybe connect people or participants that while they're searching for a job, maybe get some hands-on experience with the pro bono program?
Is this Buddy Force that you're talking about, or something different?
No. Pro bono is all different
okay.
initiative.
Yeah.
And, basically, every NGO can ask for pro bono help, volunteering help, and people inside Salesforce, they get a chance to help out the NGOs.
Yeah.
But I could also see maybe a role for your participants to get more hands-on experience by helping out the NGOs.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Or
I haven't heard about it, but I'll look into it. Yeah.
Together, yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yes.
Do you think there's any appetite to teach them development, or do you think it doesn't make sense?
There is. So we asked on the application, what is your ideal role? And I would say about 15 to 20% people say Salesforce developer. We don't have the trainers right now, but we would love to have a development track. I'm not a developer. I've never been a developer. So yeah, we'd love to kind of get some. There definitely is appetite. Yeah, and we have people who, like Ayman, for example. I know he could be a good developer if he wanted to pursue it. So we do have some people that come with an IT background and with a kind of a logic and computer science background.
Don't forget, David doesn't have that background. He's in the...
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think you should have them stand up so they can see them. I don't think the pictures do them justice. So
Yeah, go ahead. Go on up. Yeah. Good idea.
right here, they're looking for jobs and they can help.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And this excellent initiative, I come from UK. And how this is a good practice, how we can use this experience in Netherlands to to the UK. Are you willing to have some partner in UK?
Yeah, I think it'd be very interesting. I think it's all a matter of time. And these things, just like Salesforce Saturdays and Women in Tech, these things depend on the community to scale. And you can't be everywhere at once, of course. But if we can take a curriculum that works and an idea that works, then yeah, we could easily replicate it in Ukraine or wherever it needs to be replicated. So we haven't thought about the scalability yet. We're just focusing here in the Netherlands because it's a market that we know, and it's here that we know how the system works. Yeah, it's very interesting. Any other questions? Oh, sir, yeah.
What did you learn during the first trial class? What did you learn?
Oh, so much. So much. So David I went to his presentation earlier, and I think he had a very good point where he said, to really learn something, you have to be able to teach it or something. Like learning is the best way, teaching is the best way to learn. And I think sometimes I take those for granted when you're doing it and you're in the day-to-day and you know exactly how Salesforce works, but you really have to push yourself to be able to explain it in a way that makes sense. And then sometimes I am very theoretical, and these guys can tell you that I tend to explain stuff in a very kind of dry technical language sometimes, and it's not enough. And I really need to push myself to even push the curriculum to bring it out in a more practical way. So yeah, definitely learned that the curriculum needs to speak to the things that are tangible, things that make sense, models that make sense, not just the architecture or whatever is in the background. Like yes, it's an admin's responsibility to know that, but it doesn't matter unless you have a way to implement it. You know, it doesn't matter unless you're doing something with a customer. So bringing out those customer stories and those real life applications is definitely something that we need to work on. Yeah, that's one big learning. I don't know if you've learned something else, Marielle?
So many things.
So many things.
So many things. I mean, I think one of them is that we originally started with a six-week program, 2 days for 2 hours each week, which is incredibly ambitious. And these guys were up for the challenge, which is amazing, but I think that we are learning maybe we need to extend that. So Gaspar discussed 8 weeks in his slide, because that's sort of our next step to say, okay, we have 2 more weeks, 4 more sessions, where we're sort of integrating some of the, introducing them to the community as we're doing some of the training as well. We think that also, I think the community part is something, I'm not sure, maybe you guys could speak more to this, but we sort of had a feeling that we kept on talking about the community and how amazing it was. But if they don't see that, if they don't meet people in the community, there's no way that they're gonna,
it needs to be visible.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there are great events like this that some of the participants have already been involved in. I know Dina and Philip had gone to a different event and they saw that. But one of the requirements was to go to Salesforce Saturday, and the Salesforce Saturday was canceled during the 6 weeks training. So we just did our
We had our own Salesforce Saturday.
But that would have been a great time to do it as well,
Yeah.
and that's something that we hope to continue.
Tomorrow's one? Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. Yes.
I guess I had a comment for the new graduates, is to not get discouraged. And also, for your curriculum, perhaps you would want to have just an ongoing program after they complete, that they can keep working in Salesforce every week, because it's
Yeah.
easy to forget when you study for a test. So maybe focus on Trailhead, and then even the projects you do in Trailhead you can speak to during an interview. It's very different studying for a test and actually doing the work. So I would just encourage you every week to keep doing things in Salesforce, and it'll reinforce what you learned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So how do you participate with others, with other companies in partnerships?
So we're just...
Training and...
Yeah, so the training is what we've done. Mostly, we're just now getting into the participation with the recruiters and with companies part. I think we're still figuring out how to structure that, and Ivar is helping us a little bit. But basically, we want to have kind of a membership model where we say, okay, are you willing to support all the participants throughout the year, where we will then find you the candidates that you're looking for. Whether we find them early on or afterwards, where we say, hey, let's work together. What is your team like? What is the culture there? Is it going to be a good environment for a brand new person? Is it culturally appropriate, et cetera, et cetera. So finding those linkages from more of a membership program throughout the year instead of trying to find people when, you know.
What about training? For example, you can't train everyone yourself.
It's true. Yeah, I need to find some more trainers. Yeah, we would love to have partners come and train. So
There's a big community, as you mentioned yourself.
Yeah.
Also, professionals that would like to chip in some way.
yeah,
Contribute.
yeah. Send us an email. Oh, where'd it go? I think it died.
Check the website.
Oh, there it is. It's coming back, I think. Yeah, well, it's just info@refugeeforce.nl. So. But yeah, we'd love to do that. And in order for us to have 100 participants next year, there's no way we can do it ourselves. So we really want to rely on the community. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a community manager at Salesforce.
Hi.
I'd love to chat with you. I think there's a lot of opportunity to work with the community more. So
Good.
I
Yeah.
think it's a really important initiative. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. Got to wrap it up. Thank you.